Well, I think this time, like this era of, when it's sede vacante, the seat of Peter is empty. It's very easy, and I think it was very easy in the time of John Paul II. Everybody, at least that I knew, and when I was in college and things, and even before, it was like, this guy's a saint. Like, we know he's a saint. It almost felt like everything he said was gold, And I think that for me, what happened was I just, you can look at church history and see there were some popes who were real wild men.
You're going to go there?
Right. But in our era, and even in my parents' era before, and my grandparents' era, right, we had St. John the 23rd, St. Pope Paul the 6th, even John Paul the 1st, I think his cause is open for canonization, JP2, Pope Benedict, even Pope Francis. A lot of what he said and done, it's very, very beautiful, very, very edifying. I remember the uproar that it caused when he chose to not live in the papal apartments, but he chose to live in Casa Santa Marta. Like, there are beautiful things there. And for me, this moment, this time, just is an encouragement to me to pray for whoever has the misfortune of being elected Pope.
Yes.
Nobody wants to.
In the words of Pope Benedict XVI was talking to a German pilgrims right after being elected the Pope, and he said, and I noticed the guillotine was coming for my head.
Yes,
Exactly.
What
an image. Yeah.
Exactly. But then secondly, to realize, and I think that it's helpful to nuance what we believe about the Holy Father.
Okay.
First of all, to believe, and this is where the act of faith comes in, right? Like, to believe that the Holy Spirit is and will always guide the church. Whether we have a canonized saint as the Pope or let's just say a villain. In the history of the church, obviously there were popes who were not the best. But to realize that somehow the Holy Spirit's working in that mess. And I think we always see things in light of Christ, in light of the incarnation. And in the incarnation, you see that Jesus is fully man, fully human, and also fully divine. And those two attributes also coalesce, they meet in the church, right? So the church is a divine institution inspired by the Holy Spirit, led by the Holy Spirit to pick the Holy Father. But also, there's humanity, there's brokenness. And so we see probably Pope John Paul II made mistakes in his pontificate, even though he's a saint. And Benedict XVI, who knows? They're human, right? But that doesn't take away from the guidance of the Holy Spirit.